Lippitts. Well, for Morgan horses in general, I'll explain it to you a little bit. But I just want to express that the Lippitt Club has been doing an awful lot to promote the Lippitt. There's been ads put in the Morgan Horse magazine. Farms have gotten together, and I guess it's going to happen again. You can see Jim's been good enough to put that together with the Morgan Horse magazine. It's a great opportunity. If you have a stallion you want to advertise, a farm, if you're breeding Lippitts, if you're selling Lippitts, it's a great opportunity to advertise. It advertises to a different market, and that's something that the Lippitt people have not done in years, is that they've always advertised within themselves, you know, within the Lippitt community. And that's got to change if you're going to get the numbers up. If you're going to get membership up within the club, if you're going to get the number of horses up, it's got to change. We've seen a great increase participation in people who are interested in Lippitts at the Lippitt Country Show. I'm almost positive, don't quote me on that, and I have to go back and look at the numbers, but I believe Lippitts have been sold at the show or because of the show every year, the last 5 years. So it's been a great opportunity. If you have a Lippitt you want to promote, a Lippitt stallion, if you have some foals to sell, you need to bring them to the show. It's a great opportunity for that. But I'm here to talk a little bit about photography. I'm going to talk about marketing and where I think we need to go now. This is a matter of opinion, but Laura and I have been in the business for 35 years. And we've done marketing and advertising from everything from horses to politicians. A pretty good combination. So, in politicians, there's a trick to it. But anyways, it needs to be discussed on how you turn a horse out, how you present, the image you create. And for everything the Lippitt Club does positive, to show the Lippitt horse in a positive light. One bad picture on Facebook destroys all that. One bad picture. Because of the number of people that go on Facebook, on social media, one bad image can destroy it. And if a lot of people see that image, now you've created the image that Lippitt horse is nothing but a dirty, dumpy little horse. Why would I want to own one? And you don't want to present that image. I had a call from a gentleman out in the West, Midwest. He wanted to know how come this clinic wasn't videotaped. And I explained to him, first of all, it hadn't been done yet. but secondly, we got into a conversation, and we got talking about, you know, we take photographs, what should be in the photograph, and I mentioned barbed wire, and to him, barbed wire was a common thing because out in the Midwest, their pastures are huge, and that's how they keep horses in, by barbed wire. And I said, well, that's great, but here in New England, barbed wire is probably frowned upon by a lot of people because horses can run through it. They can get severely damaged, especially around the legs, by running through the barbed wire. So if you're going to promote your horse, don't put barbed wire in the picture. That shouldn't be in the image. Your horse shouldn't be dirty. This is Ricky. He's our Lippitt gelding. I figured I'd use him that way I wouldn't insult anybody but myself. This is not a good picture. I mean, I think you can look at that. I was hoping to have the TV here, but Dave was bringing the TV, so. But this horse is dirty. He's not brushed. He's in mud. Why would I use that picture? Oh, it might be cute. You know, I might say, oh yeah, my horse had fun in the mud. But this isn't an image. I don't want to present this as an image. It doesn't do this horse, or any Morgan horse, any good to present that image.
Hey Dennis, I'm sure you'll get into this, but what are your thoughts on the angle of the photo as well?
On this angle?
Initial reaction, just because
That's
you
not a
see
bad
the
angle,
video.
but the angle depends on the horse. Okay? Now, we've taken pictures at a lot of shows, and we've taken pictures of horses that droopy in the back. And so we've taken pictures more of the shoulder so that droopy back doesn't show as much. Right? It kind of hides it in that photograph. That's why you should never purchase a horse by a photograph. A photograph is only used to entice people to come to your farm. You want to give them a reason to come to the farm. So you use that. You can use social media, use the photograph. But if you put one bad thing in that photograph, you're going to turn somebody off. I would never bring my mare to a stallion owner if I saw barbed wire in the background. I just wouldn't do it. That's me. Maybe you would or somebody else would, but I wouldn't do that because I don't want my mare injured. This picture's not too bad. It could be a little better. It could be taken when his fur was a little shorter. The background's a nice background. You don't see a lot of clutter in the background. So this isn't a bad image. You could get away with using this image. And again, this picture, you can see 3 feet. I like to try to show the feet and legs on a horse because that's what people are looking at. If they're looking at conformation, they're looking at the legs. So if I have somebody that's really serious, I would try to expose all 4 feet. Take a picture from both sides, from the back and from the front, and then send those pictures to that person by email or whatever. But it gives that person a good look at that horse and makes them decide whether they want to come and actually take a look in person. Now, this isn't a bad picture either, but I don't like the headset on this horse, and the feet are together, which are fine. That's a good show pose. If you're going to be in the show, you can pose the horse that way for the judge. But if you want to show conformation, you can only see 2 legs. You can't see what's on the other side of the horse unless you take a photograph from the other side and send 2 photographs. There's nothing right about that picture.
Dan, how long would it take to set up the bigger screen? Because it really would be.
Did you bring a TV?
I did.
Would you like to set it up?
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe you could start with the first one again.
Isn't that a nice picture? And because he's our horse, we decided it's hard to use anybody else's, so with all due respect, he's a nice horse.
I hate to tell you, but on Facebook, I've seen pictures like this.
Yeah.
Sure. All the time.
You wouldn't use it, but also because you're standing directly behind
You're right.
his head.
You're right.
You can't really tell clearly, depending on how big what it's like.
You can't see his feet either.
So I don't understand why people would use a picture like this, and I've seen images like this on Facebook, like I said. So this one isn't the best, but it's usable. I would like to see the fur a little shorter, but at least the fat guy's cut out. You know, you can see more of the head here probably, but and the bottom of the feet should be shown. But
Well, they were in the original picture.
and that's another one. As you can see, the 2 feet are together. There we go.
Now, this is a decent picture. It doesn't make him look flashy. He's not excited, but it's a decent picture. That's about it.
As a sales photograph, I would show both sides, front and back. If you're selling to somebody,
And the
as a
Piaggio.
Facebook page, you could put that in this, but I'm not happy with what's in the background. You know, and at home, when you're taking pictures at home, as well as in the showroom, when you show a horse and you're standing the horse up, whether you show the horse square or whether you're going to stretch him a little bit. And a lot of judges, I usually, when I go into a judge, I will start my horse out stretched. And if the judge wants you to square, they will ask you to square that horse up. And you want to try to make that horse look a little brilliant. This horse does not, he's happy, but he's not looking brilliant. And I'll talk a little more about that a little later. And then, of course, we have this picture. You know, there's nothing right about this photograph. Nothing. Dump trailer in the back, wheelbarrow, he's dirty. His legs aren't even straight. He looks like he's got his back legs not under him, but under him.
We had him standing downhill.
He's downhill. He should be turned the other way around so he's facing uphill. Slightly stretch him a little bit. His ears are back. This guy's not dressed worth
You
diddly.
look sloppy.
There's nothing right about that picture. Even the guy in there is not right.
We'll just crop him out, yeah.
You know, well, you could crop him up, but then you're going to have a hand. But you know, you could try to erase that. But still, you've got a horse problem here. So I want to talk about this tomato because it leads into this. When you go to sell a horse or promote a stallion, people buy with their eyes. They don't buy with anything else. They buy with their eyes. See this tomato? Before I got into mortgage, the business I was in was market garden. And I had 10 acres in production, 1,000 tomato plants. I used to go to Randolph Farmers Market. And I used to grow some beautiful tomatoes. I started them under tunnels, beautiful tomatoes. And when I picked them, I had two different categories. One were number ones. They were flawless. Nice stems on them. We placed them in a flat, so they were beautiful. Wiped each one of them down. They were gorgeous tomatoes. And then we had number twos. Nothing wrong with them. Just as gorgeous. They might have a little spot on them. The stem might be off of them. And we sold those for 50 cents. The number ones we got $1. And at that time, I'm talking 35, 40 years ago, that was a lot of money. So we go to the farmer's market, probably bring about 30 flats of tomatoes, 15 of each, say. We would always sell by half of the market was over. We would sell all 15 flats of those number ones, even though they were double in price. And we'd end up coming home with some number twos, and we'd end up putting them in for canning tomatoes that people would buy later. Even though there was nothing wrong with the number twos, maybe a little flaw, you might cut it out. You might not even have to cut it out. Maybe it didn't have a stem on it. But we'd come home with number two tomatoes. People would pay the price for a number one because they buy with their eyes. This tomato, Laura bought that tomato with their eyes.
Will you show my tomato, please?
This is a beautiful tomato. Look at this tomato. It's a number one. This is a gorgeous tomato,
Take it out
right?
of the package.
You can bounce it on the floor. You can't eat it.
You gotta take it out of the package. Appreciate that tomato.
Whoa.
It's hard. It's a hard, horrible tomato, by the way.
So that's buying with your eyes. And that's what people do when you're on social media. They buy with their eyes. They don't have anything else they can purchase with. They can't register anything else in their brain except buying with their eyes. And if you show them this, guess what? You've lost them.
Ricky doesn't look like that, by the way. He's really a cute horse. Just so,
Is he for sale?
He is for sale, but
She keeps mentioning his name, right? She keeps mentioning his name.
well, he's sweet, you know. He's just little, but I didn't do him any favors by. So just so you know,
So
it was on purpose.
You're taking pictures at home. A lot of people use cell phones. Try to get away from the cell phone because cell phones don't have lenses fast enough to capture action. You're going to get blurry feet. You're going to get a blurry head. There are digital cameras out there. Yeah, you're going to pay maybe $300 or $400 that you can change the lens on because the faster the lens, the faster action you can capture. And if you're promoting a farm, you want those images clear, and you want to be able to capture motion, especially if somebody's going to be riding that horse, or if you're going to be trotting that horse off in hand, you want that image to be clear. And so there's Nikon puts, I think, a 3400 out, a D3400, and what's Canon's version? Did I write that down? Oh, the ES Rebel.
Yes.
That's Canon's version. They're priced under $400. Depending upon if you get them on sale, you probably get them for close to $250 if you find it on sale. And then, you know, if you want to spend the money for a faster lens, you have that option. They usually come with, what, a 5.4 lens. You're looking for a 2.8 lens all the way out. You don't want a 2.8 lens that starts at 2.8 zoomed in, and then when you zoom it out, it goes to 5.4. You want a 2.8 all the way out. They're a little pricey. have you got your Nikon there, Laura?
This one here,
That
yeah.
one there, but that's got the small lens on it. But this camera right here, this is a professional camera. This is a Nikon D750. We use a longer lens on it. And so a camera like this is going to run you money. This is about, with the lens that we use to doing horse shows and this camera, you're looking at close to $6,000. And we run 2 of these, and we've got 2 D300s, which is what we used to use when those were the in thing. We use the 300s as backup.
So Dennis, what are the names of those cameras again? Nikon 3400 and
3400, I think they have a 3300, and the EOS, the Canon EOS Rebel.
So they have the ability to do, like these do video, so that, like this is a Nikon D300S, and then this is, I don't know if it has an S on it, the 750, but this is an older model, it's harder to find, but it does a pretty good job. This one, I'm sorry, does a pretty good job with videos.
Now, when you take images at home, there's no reason, another reason why there's no excuse for bad images is because you can take as many shots as you want. You know, you can take 500 images if you want. If you want to take the time with your horse and, you know, the people you have helping you, you know, you can take 500 images. It takes about 100 images to get the shot you're really looking for. Because you might not be happy with 1 foot forward, you might not be happy with the way where you were placed, or you have a hand in front of the muzzle. So feel free. I mean, they're not costing you any money to take those images, so take them when you feel you have the good shot. In the show ring, we get a matter of seconds to take the shot. So pretty much, because we've been doing it so long, we can almost anticipate what's going to happen. So a lot of times we can take the shot, especially a jumper, you know what's coming. Dressage, you know, Laura's very good in dressage. She does a lot of the dressage in New England, and I do most of the jumping and the carriage. And you can almost tell, especially in dressage tests, if you know the test, you know what's coming up for moves, and you know where you want to be. Sun doesn't always accommodate you. You don't have those images at home. You can select your location, you've got plenty of time, and you can take as many images as you want. Now, when you're in the show ring, there's nothing more irritating to a photographer than somebody who wins a blue ribbon and then doesn't come up and get a photograph. Why would you miss an opportunity to show your horse on? If you go to an A-rated show, that's the first thing they do, is they go up to the gazebo and they take the photograph, because you might get 24 photographs from a show before you even get one that's close to what you're looking for, what you want. The photographer may have taken great shots. I'm not saying that they're bad shots. It's just that everybody is looking for a little different depending upon what they're trying to sell on a horse. So when you get into the show ring, and I see it at the Lippitt show quite a bit, people come down the rail and they're dragging the horse behind them like it's a puppy dog, heads down. Get that head up. Kiss to that horse a little bit. Step on the gas pedal. Show a little. Now, I'm not talking sport horse. Sport horse and hand's a little different animal. But when you're showing stallions and hands, mare and hand, a judge likes to see a horse that has a little energy behind it. And there's tricks to doing that. I see some people already know those tricks, like a piece of paper, a candy wrapper, or a cigarette wrapper, you know, and they crinkle it. But your tailor is important as well. A lot of people think a tailor just runs behind the horse. Now, I think it was Ethan I showed 1 year at Heritage Days. I showed actually a couple, 3 years at Heritage. But anyways, this particular year, I had Lexi Ferris do the tailoring for me. Do you know who Lexi Ferris is? Lexi Ferris is Bob Ackley's granddaughter. All right? So in my mind, you know, and Lexi is very good. I mean, she tailored for me for Ethan, and Ethan had been, matter of fact, I think he just bred a mare that day before. He had been breeding mares, he had been ridden a lot, he had been driven. I think David drove him at the show, or whatever. And he was a little tired from the trip, right? And usually, if I kiss to a horse or I jingle the lead, it usually brings him up. But he was a little tired this day. But Lexi knew exactly what to do as a tailor. She knew exactly how far in back of the horse to be, how far off to the side. She knew exactly when to just tap that whip a little bit, and she drove him up in the bridle for me. I was actually my gas pedal, and I had to be the brake. And she actually drove that horse up into the bridle for me, and he was brilliant. So your tailor can make or break you. So you should work at home. If you have somebody that's going to tailor for you, you should work at home, especially if you have a horse that isn't all that excitable in the ring or is tired. You're breeding this stallion and you want to show him. And you need a tailor that knows exactly what to do, where to be. Some tailors need to be in front of a horse to slow him down. It all depends on the horse. So you want to work on that. And when you come up, when you get your blue ribbon or championship ribbon, you want to come up and get that photograph. And you want to smile. You want to look pleasant. You want the ears forward. You know, you want that shot because you never know if you're going to use that shot in advertising. The stallion was studied. It wasn't a Lippitt. It was Denler's Desert Storm. We used to show them like at 13, 14 shows a year, Equine Affair. I mean, we showed him all over the place. He was in-hand champion and Justin Morgan Standard champion on the Vermont Horse Show circuit. Never defeated Justin Morgan Standard. We showed him for years. And sometimes he would get a little tired. And so I had a little trick. I'd get it in the show ring and show him. And I either went in first or went in last. I never liked to go in the middle. I always went in first or last. And if I went in first and he wasn't quite as brilliant to the judge, I'd turn around and face the horses. So that he was actually facing the horse behind. And now a stallion's facing another stallion, right? All of a sudden he becomes, his ears go up, he's interested, and he's, you know. And so we won a lot of blue ribbons because of the way he looked. You know, he stood good anyway, so I didn't have to worry about him stepping off. And I was never turned around, except one judge would not let me do that. Does anybody know who that judge was? When I turned around, that judge reversed me, made me face the same direction as all the other horses. That judge was Marilyn Childs. At Woodstock, we were showing at Woodstock.
Can I say something, Dan?
Yeah.
I think the point Dan's trying to make is that when you're showing your horse in hand, is really, and you're setting your horse up for the judge, rather than fight with the horse, if you know that horse has something that's interesting to look at, let him look at what he likes looking at. And then you set him up and he's going to stay still because he's going to be happy. So Dennis was turning his horse around to look at those mares, and Storm looked brilliant. And the judge didn't know what he was doing in the lineup backwards, but it didn't matter. He won the class.
So another thing is that sometimes you want to do something offbeat, just like turning that horse around. One thing we did, we were showing up at Lindenville, and the ring is down at Lindenville. It's like over a bank, and the stalls are up above. And we were late for the class, right? And they were calling for the class, and all the horses were in the ring. And to get to the ring, you could either go down this side or this side, and then the in gate was over here. So what we did is we went down this side, and we trotted that horse on the back rail all the way down to the in gate. Everybody stopped talking, and everybody did nothing but watch us trot that horse down the rail, on the back side, and come in the in gate.
You forgot to mention the judge was a little ticked off about showboating, though.
Yeah, well, she made a mention about showboating my horse down the rail coming into the ring, but it got people outside the rail to look at that horse. And that's another thing. Some people won't bring their Lippitt to an A-rated show, like Mass Morgan or any of those shows. Why? Because you're afraid of not taking a blue ribbon? You're not there necessarily to take a blue ribbon, because there are people on the rail. If you put on a good show, you're there to represent the breed. And let's face it, I'm not saying judges don't pin exactly right, but they have their favorites for whatever reason, whether it's customer reason, money reason, or this is just what they like. They have their taste. But there are people on the rail who have different tastes, you know, who will like a real typey Morgan. And you should be showing your type of Lippitt to those people, because they're potential customers, any way you want to look at it. There's several stories I can tell you. I mean, I've got one we showed Rohan Dior at Syracuse show. I think Diane Orser wrote him for us. And we were stabled next to the more modern type Morgan. And the gentleman was going to ride him in a class, same class that we had Dior going in. I think Dior took a 4th. And this gentleman on his horse took a 5th. When we got back to the barn, his wife was not very happy because he got beat by that Lippitt. And that was the image that she had at that time. But even though he took a 4th, he still made an impression, maybe not a good one, to somebody. Somebody was looking at him on the rails, somebody was competing against him. You know, we brought Dior to Mass Morgan. I drove him. We had a good time with him. If we took a blue ribbon, fine. If we didn't, just as fine. We showboated him where we had the opportunity. And that's what you need to do. That's the attitude you need to have. And so put things together well. Think about it before you go in the ring. Don't be intimidated by anybody. Because, I'll show you some good pictures. Rosevale Lego. Nice horse, not a Lippitt. Laura took this at Mass Morgan.
Gosh, I think so.
This was on the cover of the Morgan Horse magazine. It's been all over the place. Very nice horse, very large horse. This picture doesn't show legs, right? So you're not going to breed to this horse by looking at this picture, but that headset, and as nice as he looks, would maybe make me go look at him. This is an old picture. This horse is no longer with us. That was in New England jumping. I took that picture. That picture's been at Equine Affairs, it's been in the Morgan Horse magazine. It's been all over the place. It's another one. I just talked to the lady last year down in New England. She's got another horse coming along. But this horse was a baby. I mean, that horse had a good life. That was her grandson, I think, riding that horse. It's Desert Storm. This picture is everywhere. It's down at the Kentucky Horse Park. It's at the Nationals. It's down at Equine Affair. It's been in the magazine. It's on the website. This picture doesn't show much of that horse. It shows that maybe he's pretty.
That picture is not correct. It should never have been anywhere, and I took it. And I did not like it, and I don't know how it got
Yeah,
into
Laura hates this
Kentucky.
picture.
I hate that picture.
Everybody loves this picture.
For
It's
3
been all
years,
over
I
the
tried to
place.
get that picture. His hand is in front of the nose.
Because that's Ferris wheel, and he's almost in the center, and he's happy, he's looking
Yeah.
bright, and he's
Fills
looking
the
happy.
space, yeah.
It's nice. Shoulder.
Who would think? If someone were to buy that picture, I'd say, why did they buy that picture? It doesn't show anything on that horse. But this horse, some of you, if you've been to the Lippitt show, you might have seen this young lady at the Lippitt show. This is a shot from New England. She won at the Nationals with this horse. Very nice horse. That picture is damn near perfect, except for the trailers in the background, which you can't avoid at a show. That shot's damn near perfect. Legs are symmetrical. She's smiling. Ears are forward. Everything's correct. That picture, we use it as in the banner. It's been in the Morgan Horse magazine 2 or 3 times. It's been on the banner they use at Northampton to advertise the show. It's been at the Nationals. That picture's another one that's been all over the place. Oh, and I want to say this, the reason I put this picture on here mainly is because this young lady loved it at the Lippitt show, and this is what we're trying to do. She may buy a Lippitt. She hasn't expressed that, but she owns Bella Vista Stables in New Hampshire. And she has clients. She loved the Lippitt show. She came and spent probably $400 or $500 at the auction. She brought 2 clients with her that also showed at the Lippitt show. And she's already spent $200 in sponsorships for this year, and she's coming with several other clients in 2019. So there you go. That just gives you an example that, and these people use their horses. If you sell them a Lippitt, you know that Lippitt's going to get used in the right way.
You also notice that that rider's body is basically in the same form as that horse. You see what I mean?
Pretty much, yeah, same. Angle. Shocking what?
I think the thing that was really sweet about her was that she was so thrilled to be there, and the people, the people are all so embracing of her and loving. And I also think every Lippitt sold at the Lippitt show last year that was for sale. Am I right? Somebody else would know facts better than I do,
I
but
believe they were also.
they were all sold.
It's the
She
same
says,
girl.
I'm going to tell everybody I know about this show. And you better believe people are going to hear about this. They're hearing about the Lippitt show. It's a great opportunity for all of us.
Same girl, different horse. This was taken at the Lippitt show. But if you notice, ears are forward, horse is happy, blue ribbon, she's posing with the trophy, she's smiling, she's posing for the camera. You show your horse, take the opportunity to get the promotion.
That's one thing we don't get is the victory passes any longer and standing for the camera. We usually will take, like Morgan Horse Magazine contacts us, and we provide them with photographs. We do not get paid for photographs. We do not get paid by shows. We do rely on selling pictures. But we also, if they want pictures and they say what they want, they go to us. And that's why we're there. And most of it's because we love the Lippitt. So if you're in the ring for 5 minutes, be alert for that 5 minutes. You're paying for it. And show your horse for that 5 minutes. He's not going to get tired, or she.
And here's another thing, a lot of people when you're showing, especially in hand, even under saddle or in harness, they let the horse down when they think the judge is done judging. Don't be fooled, because you go up in hand and you present your horse to the judge, right? And then he says, okay, walk to the rail and trot down, or whatever he asks you to do. I'm just using that for an example, but go to the rail and trot down. I see a lot of people that, and they go back in line, and then they just stand there with the horse. Now let me tell you something, that judge is looking, the next horse comes up, and this next horse is a tad better in his mind than your horse. Guess what he does? He goes on this side, or she, he goes on this side, and while he's looking at this horse, he looks over the top of the back of that horse, and he's looking at your horse that you've got head down here letting him eat grass. Right? So you always show your horse. Even when you're on the rail waiting, you're showing your horse, because that judge is not done until he writes on the card and hands that card to the ringmaster. Then you let your horse down. Other than that, you should never let your horse down when you're in the show ring.
There's a lot of people showing now that haven't shown a lot in the past.
Correct.
And they need to be educated that they should go down to the ring, stand, and wait the winner to go out of the ring last. They're not, and so maybe we should be having the announcer announce that so that they realize that's part of showing. You go, and when you get your first place ribbon, you go down, and the second
One side.
place, and then you go out as they call it.
Maybe we can talk to the ringmaster, and the ringmaster can
And
direct him to
explain
go down and, you know, maybe we can do that to try to help educate people who are new to showing. It would probably help. This is just another shot, but as you can see, it's the same thing. The ears forward, she's smiling. This is not a show shot, but this is an interesting farm shot. That's Neil Perry. We did a farm shoot at Neil's, and he was on his horse. His horse is not with us any longer. And there was a pond there, and just, you know, I thought it was a pretty shot. And just as a joke, I said, hey Neil, why don't you go in the pond? So he did. And when you look at him, you can see the horse is kind of smiling a little bit. And you can see he's got a little, that water was cold.
It overlooks Lake Willoughby, if that means anything to anybody, but you're up north, and it was windy and 45, 50 degrees. It was terrible.
So,
That was a show saddle.
But you could use that. I mean, again, this is another picture. I would put it in combination. If you're doing an ad and doing combination photographs, you might put this in, put pictures to show the horse and his conformation and how tight he is. You might throw that in there as an interest, showing that your horse will go anywhere. Your horse is well trained, will go anywhere. People will be amused by that picture. It will draw them to your advertisement and possibly bring them to your farm. And let me state again, images are not to sell horses, and you should never buy a horse and breed to a stallion based on a photograph. Because I can make your horse, and Laura can make your horse look like a world champion.
You better correct that. I never, and I do not believe in ever editing a horse any
I didn't say edit.
combination shot. Okay.
By how
I
you
can put his
stand.
head on his tail if I wanted, but I'm trying to say that
How you
should never
stand,
do
where you
that.
stand. Like I mentioned earlier, we photographed the horse that was a little dippy in the back, a little low in the back. Stand more to the front of the horse, to the shoulder, and you cut that dip so it's not as bad. It eliminates that dip a little bit. So there's different ways. Same thing with trimming a horse. You can trim a horse so that some slight flaw in the legs you can, so that some people or a lot of people would not pick it up. Are you presenting a false image to people? Not really. You're presenting your horse in the best light. And if they can't pick up on the flaw, shame on them.
Well, the thing about it is, if you look at a picture and it looks real good, you travel 1,500 miles and you get down there and say, that's not the horse I was looking at. I'd be a little bit perturbed. Matter of fact, before I would go, I've had customers buy horses off the internet.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't read and a lot of people don't hear what you're saying. We had somebody come look at Ricky this winter. And before she came, we told him he was a little on the small side. And he is, 13-1 or 2, right? He's small. Making a great driving pony. I mean, especially for obstacles and stuff, he's not afraid of anything. And we've had chickens and cows.
You trying to
come
sell
over.
that horse?
No, I'm just trying to use him as an example that, you know, when this lady came, she was a little disappointed because he was so small. Well, we expressed to her that he was small. We gave her the height, but in her mind, she couldn't imagine 13-1. So when she came, she was a little disappointed. So sometimes, you know, it depends on what people are looking at the time, too. I see what you're saying, but, you know, this horse, when you take a picture, you're not changing the horse that much where it doesn't look like the same horse. You can enhance small flaws, but you can't change clubfoot.
I can.
I'm talking about when you're taking the photograph, not afterwards.
I don't. I can't.
So, I think that's all I have. Any questions?
When you're taking photos at home, what would you recommend for time of day as prime?
Late in the afternoon.
Late in the
You can do it early in the morning. It depends on which looks best. Midday, forget about it because the sun's overhead. You're going to get a lot of shadows. And you want the light just right. So, you know, you can see where the sun was here. You know, lights that horse up, lights Neil up. So,
And you want the sun behind you?
behind you.
I'll tell you one really cool way of taking pictures, and I like doing it. I don't like explaining it, but people are copying me, so it doesn't matter anymore. Is we have a doorway into our barn, and the barn is fairly long. So if you have the back of your barn closed up, so it's dark, and you walk your horse to the light, usually it's just a headshot, but walk it so it's a nice sunny day, afternoon, the light's always beautiful, and as you see the light striking the horse, take your shot then.
Like this.
Anyway, that's a good example of it, so that there's a whole bunch going on behind that horse, but it's black and you see the horse in the sunlight. That's natural lighting, and that's what you're going to get. It's good to do with kids too, and moms or a kid with a horse if you have a big enough door. So many things you can do that are artistic.
Who knows who that is? That was down at the Lippitt show. Look at this guy with his tongue hanging out. Tell me he wasn't having fun.
He was tired.
He's gonna kill you for that.
Huh?
Maybe we should get a picture of that.
I don't know if he was playing around there or what he was doing, but he looks like he was up to something devious.
Usually.
Usually.
I don't see any horns on there, so I don't know, he's not the devil, but with that, I don't know. But-
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
From New York. That's right, Western New York.
Any other questions?